Good evening and welcome. I'm Dr. Sten Ekberg, as most of you know. And today we are at part 10 of User Manual for Humans. And the first thing that patients learn in this office is that the number one detractor from health is called stress. And there is physical stress, there's chemical stress, and there's emotional stress. The emotional stress may be the most far-reaching and the most important one to deal with, and yet it may be the hardest to pinpoint, and it's the one that demands the most of the person himself. So now I'm excited, and this is a topic that will go on forever. There's so many ways to address it. This is a very brief introduction to that topic. Mental relaxation, how to relax. The subtitle is Be Here Now. And that's a hard thing for humans, because even though we are human beings, most of us think that we are human doings. Most people are very uncomfortable with not doing anything. People who have to sit down for 30 seconds and don't have anything to entertain them, they get very restless. And especially kids, maybe, but even adults, we always feel like we have to do something, we have some goal to pursue. So it's very, very difficult for us to just be. And the other part of that, the next part is here. And here is whatever is in front of us, whatever we are engaged in at the time. But the mind is very, very unhappy right here. The mind always tries to be somewhere else. So the mind is constantly worrying, it's thinking back in time to worry about things that have been, or being guilty about things that have been, or it projects into the future because the future holds the promise of something better. And because the mind/ego always identifies with things, with property, with relationships, with knowledge, with things that can enhance the sense of self. If I have a car, that's my car, and I feel better because I have a nice car. If I have nice clothes, I feel better because I identify with those clothes. That's what the ego does. And the ego/mind. So in the present moment, there is nothing to identify with. So the ego always tries to get somewhere else in place and time, because the future, I know I can get something better. I can encounter some fun or something to raise my sense of self. Be and here, both of those are very difficult, and now is equally difficult, like we said. Now doesn't hold much value for the mind or ego. Being has no value. So the mind constantly projects into the future, away from this present moment. So in terms of mental peace, the biggest thing we can do for ourselves, and we'll get into this in some detail, is to be here now. And it sounds simple, but it's very, very difficult for modern humans, because we've developed a mind that really doesn't want to do that. So what we'll cover here is, what is the mind? Thinking, is it good for you? What is emotion? The sources of emotional stress. And spirituality, is it practical? And with spirituality, we're not going to step on any toes. We're not going to get into denominations. We'll just talk a little bit about what it is. So I have a little poem that there's supposedly written by a little girl, and it talks about a robot, but think about the robot more as your mind, as the subconscious mind, when you read it. And it says, I have a little robot that goes around with me. I tell him what I'm thinking, I tell him what I see. I tell my little robot all my hopes and fears. He listens and remembers all my joys and tears. At first my little robot followed my command, but after years of training, he's gotten out of hand. He doesn't care what's right or wrong, or what is false or true. No matter what I try, now he tells me what to do. And that is very, very simplistic, but also very, very profound. That is exactly how the mind, and especially the subconscious mind, works. So what is the mind? Well, it is basically the same as the nervous system. And if I use some terms here that don't agree with how you usually think about them, just kind of bear with me for now and save your questions till afterwards. We'll try to clarify if need be. But the purpose of the nervous system is to process information. And then because there is such an abundance of information every day, your nervous system processes something of the order of 1 billion bits of information per second. There needs to be some sort of patterning and categorizing so you don't have to process the same 1 billion bits from scratch every time. So because of that, the nervous system forms habits and patterns so that once you've learned how to walk, you don't have to do it again. Once you've learned how to talk and act in different situations, you don't have to relearn all those things. But at the same time that it coordinates activity and develops response patterns, it also develops all of your beliefs, all of your skills. So after a while, we don't have to think so much. All our minds, they're already made up. They're predetermined for us. And there's some benefits to that, obviously, otherwise it wouldn't happen that way. There's convenience, there's efficiency. It's a great tool. The mind is a great tool to get things done. But we also need to understand that this system has some drawbacks, because as much as the mind can help, it can also get in the way. These patterns and habits, they don't always serve us when we try to change something. The mind can get a mind of its own, if you excuse the pun. Just like the robot, it tends to take over. The mind is an egomaniac. The mind is filled with self-importance. And as humans, we have a tendency to become identified with the mind. Even though we have thoughts, we don't say things like, I have a sad thought, or I have a happy thought. We say, I am sad, I am happy. We've gone so far as to completely identify with our thought process, and we don't know how to separate them anymore. So that's how the mind kind of takes us over. The mind is very repetitious, and because of that, it makes it simple, but it also kind of streamlines things and makes them monotonous. We don't really need to be aware of anything because the mind just takes care of business for us. We can get through a day without thinking for ourselves at all. It's just old habits that do it. So therefore, there's a tendency to lose spontaneity, zest, awe, and curiosity of life. Kids are great at this. They're curious about everything. They're always in awe of everything new. But as adults, we think we've seen it all, so it doesn't excite us much. And it's like, oh yeah, whatever, I've seen that. That takes a lot of excitement out of life at the same time. And the other one is we have a tendency to become addicted to thought. How many people here have noticed that you always think of something, right? That's just what we do as humans. It's just one thought after another, and it's just racing and racing and racing. And the question then is, are these thoughts really useful? We'll get a little bit more to that toward the end, but if we start thinking a little differently about what the mind and the ego is, they're basically the collection of thoughts that you have. And you identify with them, therefore, everything that the mind and the ego believes, you believe that you are too. And the ego is very delusional. It has a lot of neurotic mental issues. So the ego believes that if you get angry enough, if you get resentful enough, if you get guilty enough for long enough, things will change. Things will get better. If you think about it, when you get angry at something or somebody, that anger is never going to change the thing you're angry at. And yet you're angry because the ego that you're identified with believes that being angry will change something. It takes a little bit of thinking. I just want to get you started on this process. But anger is like drinking poison and waiting for someone else to get hurt. The anger and blame and guilt, or anger and blame especially, they're never about the object or the person that you're angry at. The anger only hurts yourself. The other person doesn't know you're angry. So the poison is only going to hurt you. And so it is with any emotional reaction that you don't like. The only one that gets hurt is you. And this is, we have a hard time separating ourselves from the anger because we identify with the ego and the thought process. So this cartoon, there's the computer on the psychologist couch, and the counselor says, "No, I don't think you're crazy. Like most of us, you're just a victim of bad programming." That would hold true for any of us. So many years ago, a clever philosopher named René Descartes said the famous words, "I think, therefore I am." And what he was trying to figure out was, do we really exist? That was the philosopher's dilemma. I guess it's eternal, but at one time especially. And so he figured out that, I don't know for sure if I exist, but I think I figured it out because I think, therefore I am. Because thinking must be the same as existing. But that wasn't really true, because what he really said, if you read his stuff, which I haven't, but I looked up some of it, he really said something more to the fact that if I can observe the thought and question it, then I exist. So what he's talking about is the proof of existence is when you can detach yourself from the thought and realize that you are separate, that proves your existence. And that's kind of what we're getting at here tonight, that you are not the thought, you are the one having the thought. Because if you can step away from the thought and observe it and question it, then you can't be the thought. And that's the difference between you and the mind. And this is a little bit different of a mind, an understanding of mind that we're used to. But in the way we're talking about it, I think you'll find it useful. So you're not the thought, you are the one who have the thought. Why does this matter? Why do we care? What's the health relation? What's the connection here? Well, we've talked a lot in the past about sympathetic and parasympathetic. That sympathetic is your stress response that has certain physiological responses. The stress response will speed up your heart, it'll tense your muscles, it will breathe faster, it will engage in catabolism, which means breaking down tissue to free up energy and resources, burning bridges, because if we're chased by a bear, we don't really care, we just want to make it out of there. And it's about an outward expenditure of energy. It's about defending ourselves. So we've found that the sympathetic response is responsible for about 99% of all modern illness. Everything people take medication for is directly traced to the sympathetic response. The parasympathetic is the opposite. That's about expending energy inward, and that's digestion, immune function, healing, and building things up, anabolic function. So, from a health perspective, it matters a lot whether we engage the sympathetic or the parasympathetic, because only the parasympathetic can heal, whereas the sympathetic is the stress response that will get us sick. And that's the point, that these emotional responses, when our ego gets emotionally reactive and we get tense, it has a health effect. And it may be the greatest single factor in health that we know of, that we can follow up and do something about too. So these sympathetic, parasympathetic functions, if we move to slide number 9, there's a carryover to the emotional states. So your cells can be in one of two states. They can be in a state of defense, or they can be in a state of growth. And healing only takes place during growth. So when we defend ourselves, emotionally, that carries over to the physical, physiological. So in growth, the cell or the body would be in a state of love, whereas in defense, it would be in a state of fear. In growth, the body is in a state of ease, whereas in defense, it's in a state of tension. In growth, it's about moving towards something. In defense, it's about moving away from something. Growth is a state of acceptance, and defense is a state of resistance. And growth is about trust, defense is about doubt. So whenever we have any of these emotions, fear, tension, moving away, resisting, or doubt, that's a state that has a physiological effect on our cells. It puts us in a stress response in a state of defense, and we cannot heal as well. So, what is emotion? One of the best definitions I've heard is by Eckhart Tolle. He said, emotion is your body's response to your thoughts. That's a good one. So when you have these thoughts, they create an emotional state, and your body has a reaction to it. That reaction can be either one of growth or one of defense and protection. Another thing that they've done, these clever people that measure everything, is they have measured and estimated we have about 60,000 thoughts a day. Did you know that? You're probably working your way up to about 45,000 by now. Here's the question. How many of those are original thoughts based on awareness, and how many are the same ones you had yesterday? We don't know the number, but the vast majority, probably somewhere around 99% of the thoughts that you had today were the same as the ones you had yesterday, which means that they are completely unnecessary. They don't do anything for you except keep you busy and give your ego the sense of doing something. Okay? So what's the process? Where do we get our thoughts? Where do we get our emotional reactions? Well, we observe our environment. Because of the purpose and nature of the nervous system, it will categorize and label everything you look at. Nice car, ugly car, nice car, ugly dress, nice haircut, nice smell, good traffic, bad traffic. We do this subconsciously all day long. And with every one of them, there's a judgment. Maybe subtle, but there's a judgment with every observation and with every thought. Unless we are completely aware and we're like a child that sees something for the first time, then there's no judgment, then there is awe. And if we don't have that awe, then there is judgment, and there's thought, and there's emotional reaction. And some of those reactions are good. It's like, yeah, I got a raise. Yeah, I got an ice cream. But a lot of them result in tension, frustration, anger, peace, joy, busyness, whatever. So now we have an emotional reaction, and now we have two choices. And first, when we see something that displeases us, we have a reaction to it. We can do one of two things. We can change it, we can change the thing, or number two, we can change how we feel about it. We can change our reaction to it, meaning accept it. And out of those two choices, most humans pick number three, which is think about it, resist it, fret about it, be upset about it, tell others about it, complain about it. Make a club so we can complain together. Make a club, call it a political party so we can complain about all the other guys. And this is what we do. There's very little of our activity that goes into actually changing something or changing how we feel about something. And those are the only two things that make sense. Okay, so that again goes back to the delusion of the ego. The ego identity is strengthened by complaining, because if you complain about traffic, then obviously traffic is wrong and you are right. When you complain about another person's behavior, obviously they are wrong and you are right. And that makes you better. That strengthens you from an egoic standpoint. And no matter how subtle or unsubtle, we do this all day long. We'll talk a little bit about spirituality. And this is completely independent of religion. It can enhance a religion if you subscribe to one. But all spirituality really is the realization that the one who makes the decisions ultimately is non-physical. That there's some non-physical part of you, there's some entity that has the power to choose. And to the extent that you engage that part, then that's spirituality. Okay? And this is very, very practical once you start learning about it, because these are things that you can do every minute of every day. It's not about sitting down to pray or believe something. It is about how do you react to things. Do you use your awareness and do you use your choice on how to react and how to label and how to judge things? What you are and what you're not. You are not your mind. You have a mind. You are not your thoughts. You have thoughts. You are not your emotions. You have emotions. So in my viewpoint, what meditation is, it's about learning the difference between what you are and what you have. And in doing that, you can get a lot more peace. You can regain health. You can get better focus. You can get more energy. You can get better in sports. People do better in school. All sorts of good things happen. You get better at concentrating because you're basically using your resources more effectively by not wasting them on things that don't matter. Real quick review, what you are is you are silence, you are peace, you are awareness, you are intelligence, you are presence, you are consciousness. And what you have is you have an ego, mind, body, nervous system, thoughts, habits, and preferences. Those are things you have, but through the process of conditioning and ego identification, we believe that we are all those things. And there's a whole lot to be won by learning the difference. So the next sketch, real quick, is basically that you are bigger than your mind. You are more than your mind. The more that the mind and ego expands, the more that you let it expand, the more it covers you up and the less you have access to the resources. But if you can use the mind as a tool, then you can start using it to work for you more so, and then there is more of you left over, more of you exposed, if you will. So we'll start a guided relaxation here, and the purpose is to provide relief from tension, relief from thought, and relief from worry. Sit comfortably in a relaxed but upright posture. You want to sit tall without effort or strain. Breathe softly through your belly. If you have a tight belt, you can loosen that if you like. And you can keep your eyes open or you can close them, whichever you're more comfortable. And for right now, just allow yourself the luxury of a few minutes just to relax and feel good. This is just for you. And let all the worries of the day just fall away. Take all the burdens and all the worries that you've been carrying, you've been carrying on your shoulders or on your back, just set them aside. Just put them down, just for now. It's okay. They'll still be there if you want to pick them up later. Then open your mouth slightly and put the tip of your tongue behind your front teeth. Then you take a really deep breath, Fill your lungs all the way in as much as you can, and then slowly let the breath out through the teeth with a whooshing sound. So. And make it a really, really long out breath. And take one more breath like that all the way in, and then let it out very, very slowly. Then close your mouth, breathe through your nose, slowly and relaxed. Breathe through your belly and let it expand comfortably with each breath while the shoulders stay relaxed. As the breath expands your belly, let it continue a little bit up into the chest, just a little bit. You don't have to fill your lungs all the way. And breathe in and out slowly. I'm going to count for you. I'm going to count to 4 on the in-breath and 5 on the out-breath. So breathe in, 1, 2, 3, 4. Make a short pause and out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Short pause and in. 1, 2, 3, 4, and out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So continue that about the same rhythm. Practice that for just a couple of breaths. Once you have the rhythm down, now you want to add a positive emotion to this. So you can think of something that makes you happy. You can pick a flower, a child, a puppy, a situation, anything that works for you. Or you can just be happy for no reason at all. And that's called bliss. Is when you're happy for no reason. When there is joy in the mere state of beingness. So just focus on the breath and how you feel. And if there's a thought or an emotion or a tension, then just let it drift away like a cloud in the sky. So just keep letting the thoughts drift away. And when a thought comes back up, which it will, don't beat yourself up. Just acknowledge it, let it drift off, and return your focus to your breath and feeling good. Peace and joy is your natural inner state. There's no effort involved. You don't have to do anything. Just relax and just be the peace. With every in-breath, you can breathe in a subtle joy. With every out-breath, you let go of more tension. So with every breath, allow yourself to find deeper and deeper levels of relaxation. Allow yourself to believe that this well-being can get better and better. And notice your breath again. And notice how your entire body expands ever so slightly with the breath. The entire periphery of your body grows and shrinks with each breath. Now, can you imagine how the inhalation fills your entire body? Not just the lungs, but everything that expands is filled with air. And then can you imagine that when the air leaves your body, it leaves behind nothing but space. How your entire body feels like space as you breathe out. Then imagine or visualize all the space around your body, the space in every direction around you. So the inside of your body is all space, and outside your body is all space. Then try to imagine that the space inside your body is continuous with the space outside your body. How the continuity of space inside you and outside of you obliterates the edges of the body. So in this moment, you're one with space. You don't need your body. Just allow yourself the wonderful experience of just being one with space. Can you imagine how vast you are as the space inside you extends in every direction? And just allow yourself the luxury of resting in this moment as the space and the peace that you are. Just rest as the silence that you are. And then can you allow yourself to accept this moment just for now? Not 5 seconds from now or 5 minutes from now, just this moment right now. Can you accept it? And just let it be exactly what it is. Can you welcome this moment and realize how complete you are? how in this moment you don't need anything. There's nothing that you can't cope with in the present moment. There are never any problems right now. In order to find problems, you have to think and travel by thought to some other imaginary moment. But they don't exist right now. Everything you need is right here, right now, in this moment. And this is the best moment there is, because it's the only moment there is. Can you feel that this is the best there is? Nothing can ever exist at any other time than right now. And right now, all is well. So remain relaxed in this moment, but allow yourself to start feeling the presence of your body. Notice, feel the presence of your hands, feel the presence of your legs. And realize that your body consists of cells, trillions of cells. And it's more than just a group of cells or a bunch of cells. It's a community of cells. A wonderful, intelligent, perfect community just working for you. Every one of those trillions of cells can create another perfect, healthy cell. Your cells can be in a state of fear and protection, or they can be in a state of love, peace, and healing. Your cells are listening to you. They're listening to your thoughts. They're determining their behavior and their state based on the thoughts you broadcast. So take a moment and send them a message that all is well. Broadcast that they are perfectly safe. Your cells want to relax and join you in this moment of well-being. Let the broadcast radiate and vibrate out to every single cell in your body. Can you feel the tingle? Can you feel the cells vibrate? Then can you imagine that your heart is the broadcast center? Imagine a warm golden light magically appearing in your heart and spreading throughout the body. The warm golden light feels so good, and it's making every one of your cells get all warm and relaxed. You're getting so relaxed now. You're starting to relax even at the cellular level. The wonderful healing energy is filling every cell as they let go of tension and toxins. Your cells are becoming clean and strong. All tension and fear is gone, replaced with peace, courage, energy, and enthusiasm. The cells are energized, but there's no effort on your part. Your cells know what to do. All you have to do is relax and breathe. Your cells don't need any help. They just need you to get out of the way. And then relax and breathe. All your wonderful little cells know exactly what to do. That's what they're designed for. It's built in. Growth and healing. Relax and breathe. And then bring your attention back to this room and the chair you're sitting in. Take a few breaths, a little bit deeper. Let yourself slowly return to the physical world. And allow yourself the possibility that you can take this wonderful feeling with you as you move into the rest of the day. And know that there is no shortage of peace. You can access it as often as you want. Move your head a little bit, stretch a little bit, move your fingers, wiggle your toes, open your eyes, take a new, fresh look at life.
I'm asleep now.
Very relaxed.
How many people found some sort of inner place you haven't seen before, or a deeper relaxation and some peace at a better level? Good. Good. So what I did here is, there's lots of these programs and tapes and things. I made this one up just based on ideas that I've gotten from other places and things that work for me. So when I lie in bed at night, take 5 minutes and I just watch my breath and I tell myself some of these things. I picture my cells. I ask, well, what sort of broadcast would my cells want right now? Would they want one fretting over tomorrow, or would they want to know that all is well? And one that really works for me is to think of this moment, just accept this moment just for now. And this is the best moment there is, because it's the only moment there is. And as soon as we think, oh, well, that's not really true because yesterday I had a really great moment. No, because that's history. The only moment is now. And as soon as you're comparing to something, you're judging. If you can get yourself to the place where you feel this moment right here is the best there is because it's all there is, then that really gets me that peace. So hope this has been helpful. I'm welcome any ideas or suggestions about what you liked or what didn't work, and I'm planning to make a CD of this that I'll make available also. So thank you so much for coming, and hope to see you next time.
Thank you.